as much as possible.
Hans Zimmer! Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer.
Hey guys, it's Nate. I'm back. So this is my good friend, Macaiah.
Hey.
Hey, today we are actually reviewing a movie. Watched Inception recently. It came out 10th anniversary, came out in IMAX again. They put it in the theater for a week or so. So he suggested we go see Inception in IMAX, and I was like, absolutely.
Yeah, because COVID-19, right? COVID-19's got everybody self-quarantining, group quarantining, whatever you were doing. But the movie theaters were closed for months, right? And so AMC was my joint. And we found out that the theaters were going to be opening back up. And I was like, okay, what do they have in there? Because I have movie fever. I want to go to the movies. I want to experience that. And so I come to find out that Inception is going to be in there, the 10th anniversary. And so I'd actually never seen Inception from start to finish.
That's
and
crazy.
So Nate's like, bro, you got to watch this movie. And so I'm like, dude, of course. I mean, this is Christopher Nolan, right? He did the Dark Knight series. He did... what was the war movie that he just did a couple of years ago? It's like the ticking of the clock.
Oh, yeah, Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was banging.
Yes.
Just so many different movies.
Yeah, which surprisingly, I haven't seen some of, like, Dark Knight.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous.
Actually, you got to be honest with these people. You haven't seen Dark Knight from start to finish.
Exactly, I have not.
Which is kind of sad.
But it is. And to be honest, I saw Inception for the first time like a year and a half ago for the first time.
Okay.
So it's honestly on movies I'm playing catch up.
Sure.
That's what I'm doing. And so Inception's
me too a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But I just thought, they just opened up AMC theaters. And they had Inception in IMAX. And I figured, what better way to reboot my theater-going experience than to watch Inception in IMAX? Let's go.
That's it. That's the movie to see for sure. Sure.
So, first of all, it's Christopher Nolan. He directed the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, I mean, what are our thoughts on Chris, man?
Man, the man is a legend. Definitely. Yeah.
He's legit.
One of my favorite directors, for sure. He's extremely talented. He's articulate with everything he does in film, and his directing style. He's hands-on. He's there, and it's just incredible.
Everybody who knows anything about film and the film industry, when you think of Christopher Nolan, you think of a man who's top of his class. He respects the art. He knows the art. He's mastered his craft, and
absolutely,
so you know this man is really incredible in what he does. And so, yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers, he has this deal with Warner Brothers, and he's mentioned this before, but that they just trust him. They give him a budget. He says, hey, I've got an idea, whether it's an original idea of Nolan himself or some other thing, and they say, well, how much do you need? And so he creates a movie, and it does gangbusters in the box office. Yeah. And so that's how he's built that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The concepts that he has and the way... he puts them forward is just incredible. It really is. Yeah.
I'll admit I haven't seen all of his movies. I don't know that I've even seen most of them. But the ones that I have seen, again, The Dark Knight, Inception, Dunkirk, and Tenet is getting ready to come out.
That's it.
So day one, we're there.
Right. This is kind of like a prequel.
Yeah.
We're releasing this, and then we're going to do Tenet right after this. And
so be looking out for that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Christopher Nolan duo here.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it.
For sure.
So this is gonna be awesome. I think with the movie, with the story structure, the way he's put it together, it's incredible because there's only so many ways of structuring a story. But the way he started the movie with the end of the story, it almost a lot of times those kind of stories are the character telling the story.
Sure.
And there's even theories that's what this is Cobb sits down at the table and across from
I don't know.
Zaida.
Okay.
Is that his name?
Yeah. The Asian guy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, and and then the movie ensues. It's
it's such and that's what Christopher Nolan does, is he knows how to bring epicness to the screen in all of its glory. And the movie starts and we're with Cobb. The water's hitting him on the beach. He gets taken by this soldier that drags him into this room with this old man, this old Asian guy.
Yeah, it's confusion.
Yeah,
you don't know what's going on.
But I realized that, again, with Christopher Nolan, who I would consider a master at this film craft, that it was necessary. He didn't just do that for no reason. It was necessary to start the movie there so that we understand, because a lot of the story was about Cobb and we'll call him Saida. We may be wrong on that, but Cobb and Saida, if you think about it, they're kind of the main two characters. The story really kind of surrounds itself against or around their sort of agreement. And that's actually the motivation for what Cobb is doing. If Saida had never come to Cobb... Saito. Okay. Saito. If Saito had never come to Cobb with this deal of being able to get him back into the U.S., we wouldn't have the second and third act of the film.
That's so real. And also it's interesting because each character has their own story separate. And it's like, those are the two main characters, you could say. But at the same time, like, the part that each character plays is so integral, and they have their own backstory.
Totally.
And their characters are so well developed that it's like you could follow each one and be perfectly happy just in the story.
Yeah, he did a good job at making every character well-rounded. And we were just saying that earlier, is that every character does have a smart part to play in the movie. You're never going to point your finger at some character in this particular movie, at least one of the main characters, and say, why is that person in this movie?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So purposeful and articulate with his characters, with his objects, even. Man, yeah. There's no hot air in this movie. It's purposeful.
Interesting way to put that.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's also, like, what I'm saying with objects is interesting. There's a lot of fan theories, obviously, because one thing Christopher Nolan does is leave things kind of open a lot of times, and kind of up for perception, which in my eyes is really the sign of true art. Like, it leaves it ambiguous, you know?
Yeah. Sure.
So
open to interpretation.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but one thing, every time he's in a dream, he has a ring on.
Cobb. Interesting.
And every time he's not, he doesn't have the ring on. The wedding ring.
I never noticed that.
Okay. Here's what's interesting. The top was his totem, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's a fan theory that it wasn't. That it's not his totem.
That it's the ring.
That the ring is his totem.
Interesting.
And that would make sense because the totem, or the top, was Mao's totem.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
Yeah, because you saw that it was her totem, but then it was just kind of like,
right.
Cobb said it was his. But he is kind of reserved, like, with his personal stuff. He's very, like, guarded.
Right.
So it would make sense if the wedding ring was at his actual totem.
That's so interesting. We were talking about how Cobb is one of those characters in a movie that you just kind of trust what he says because he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Everything, he's like, no, we got to do, if we don't do this, then we're all going to die, or, we got to do this. Like, he's so knowledgeable. But in this movie, it's for a reason. Sometimes it's unrealistic how smart people are in movies. In this movie, remember, he was in what they called limbo for 50 years with his wife before they awoke to reality and she went crazy or whatever. But so he's considered an old soul. So the Cobb that we see in this movie is a Cobb who actually is, if you think about it, he's actually a much more wiser than his body. His soul is much more wise than his body seems.
That's it. Yeah.
And so that's why he's such a boss,
right.
so to speak, in terms of knowing what he has to do. But he still has this twinge of emotional imbalance or just chaos, if you will, because of his wife and the whole deal there. Which, I mean, anybody would be torn because of that, because it was really his fault. I mean,
it really was. And there's people that say he was messed up, he was evil or whatever, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that.
Like what the reason he did it was for his reasoning was good.
Yeah.
Now the outcome obviously was terrible.
Yeah.
But but his reasoning was good. So I mean, I still see him as, you know, a hero.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, humans make mistakes.
Yeah.
Some mistakes are worse than others.
Yeah. Oof. Well, yeah, so Hans Zimmer did the music in this film.
Hans Zimmer.
And man,
okay, I got to say this real quick. Going into this movie, watching this just recently, like we did in the theaters, I actually did not know that Hans Zimmer had did the score for this movie. And so, you know, back when Batman v Superman came out, full disclosure, I'm a DC fanboy. DC over Marvel all day. Let's go.
Dang.
Sorry,
I'm
guys.
Nah.
But check this out.
But that's just because I haven't really.
Listen, DC. So
DC.
Whenever Batman v Superman came out, Hans Zimmer did the score for that movie. And so I was such a fan of the whole DC universe, and I was in all the news and, you know, who's doing this, who's doing that. So that's actually how I got acquainted and came to know Hans Zimmer. And so from that point, I began to sort of understand his music language, if you will. And so watching this movie in the theaters, I said, that's funny. I leaned over to Nate and I go, man, that sounds like Hans Zimmer. And come to find out, it actually is Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, bro, that's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, dude's music is so epic. He really just knows, I mean, he really knows how to, you know, touch on the emotions. Like, before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh. Like, you're enraptured in whether it's a sad note or it's epic, like, bro.
Yeah. He masterful with music, and the simplicity of his scores, and just bring a power.
Yeah. Like, one particular scene that I'm thinking of is that hallway scene, bro, where it's like going around like this, because in the higher level, I think it would have been the first level, they the van was actually spinning,
right?
And so in the second level, he's going around as well because it was his dream or whatever,
right? There's yeah. It's the same concept.
That was so epic, and the music is just dun, dun, and so you're just like, oh my gosh, you know. So yeah, Nolan really knows how to create an epic scene. You pair that with Hans Zimmer, who knows how to create an excellent score. Master.
You get Inception. Yeah, so like and that hallway scene, even you talk about Christopher Nolan, he doesn't like using CGI.
Right.
He uses it as minimally as possible.
Yeah.
And so even that hallway scene was completely
practical.
Real.
Yeah, it was practical. Practical effects, if you can, and I would agree with this. In a movie, if you can do practical effects over CGI, do it. I feel like just doing CGI sometimes is a cheap route. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate good CGI just like anybody else. And Christopher Nolan himself said this in the making of this movie, that he decided that a lot of the ways he could have used CGI in this movie, he felt that it would not have aged as well. And so what's funny is a lot of us as viewers and outside observers will say that about movies that have already come out. I like that this guy as a director, it can actually have sort of the forethought, you know what I mean, to say that and implement that strategy in his moves and say, no, we're going to do practical over CGI where we can.
Yeah.
You know,
we're going to create something that's going to stick around for years, that's going to be enjoyed for years.
Yeah.
And this will help. So another thing that Christopher Nolan does, and it's the little things that almost nobody will notice, but create a huge impact. Or well, nobody will notice, but if you do notice, it's like just another level. Like he's so with a lot of different stuff, like color in the film, paintings. There's a painting in one of the scenes. It's a Francis Bacon painting, and it's something. It's a well-known, famous painting, but basically the painting is loss of memory, like. Or
interesting,
or more like not hanging on to the past, losing, like dropping the memories.
Yeah,
that's what the painting is about.
Yeah,
and that's just in the background in one of the scenes with Mao and Cobb.
Okay.
Just random stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or the names. Dom, which is Cobb's first name, Dom is actually Sanskrit for dream.
Wow. I didn't know
that.
Ariadne or something like that, yeah.
Terrible.
The college college student
girl
that they brought who became the architect of the dreams.
Ariadne actually is a name of a character in a mythological story. And basically Ariadne is the labyrinth maker.
In the mythological story.
Yes, in the mythological story.
See.
All these random cobweb. Like web.
Okay.
It's like interesting. Yeah. It's there's a
purpose for everything.
For everything. Everything
nice.
connects. No, it's so good.
Yeah. Christopher Nolan.
Seeing it in IMAX 10th anniversary, you know, just like yes.
Yeah.
Like already that music like at the end just hits you so hard. You know the music throughout the entire film, but that climax.
Yeah. I feel like it's a movie you have to watch from beginning. You have to see it from the beginning to get it and to enjoy it and for it to have the most impact in the end. Also a movie you really, to enjoy even more, you have to watch more than once, multiple times.
I agree. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times in the past year and a half, and I'm still like picking up stuff in it. I'm like, connecting dots, because a lot of times, like with how complicated it is, you get kind of lost. You're like, okay, hold up, wait, whose dream are we in? And even still, I don't think I've quite like thought in my head everybody's dream we went into and all the
it's sometimes hard following. Wait, whose dream are we in right now? Who's the subject? Who's because
it is so complicated. Another thread kind of throughout the film, just random, is trains. You think about his fear of trains. It's obvious, like they used a train to kill themselves to get out of that limbo. I wouldn't have a great relationship with trains at that point.
Also, what was the thing with what was his wife's name again?
Mao.
What was the thing with Mao and like sharp objects, knives? I mean, every scene she's in, there's like a knife or a sharp object. I'm like, bro, I
take the knives away.
She's
what's interesting if you think about that though. Cobb, basically Mao is through the entire movie, except for when they were actually alive, or when she was actually alive. Is a projection of his memory of her, but all of her actions are projections of his guilt, of his shame, of his emotional trauma. That's what it is. And so every single thing has all of her actions, every single thing that he's bringing into the dreams, the train wrecking through the middle of the street in the middle of the heist, right? That all of it is products of his fear, of his emotional trauma.
Well, and also, I think it's interesting that she keeps causing him to question what is reality, when it was him that had implanted that whole idea of what is reality to begin with. And so now it's coming full circle in this loop of, you don't know what's real, I'm real, this, and that.
Right.
And so he's just, he really created a problem for himself.
Yeah, well, and that's the shame and fear. That's, he caused it, so now he's shameful that he, or what would be the word? He's guilty. He feels guilty that he killed his wife, he feels like, right? But then,
didn't kill her, but...
Right.
He didn't kill her, but what he done ultimately
led to her
demise.
Yeah. So it's interesting because all of his projections of her are telling him, "You're not living in reality. This is reality, which that's not reality." So basically, it's his mind telling him this is reality. And the thing is, that's what, if you think about that, implanting it in her brain as an idea, basically he planted it in his own.
Yeah.
Inception.
And even to take that further, this unstable character of Mile, who is now a projection of his, the way he remembered her before she died was an unstable, crazy person. And even the resentment and bitterness that he might have against her, that character now exists in his mind. And so he now has to deal with this craziness everywhere he goes in the dream world, or at least it's following him around. And so, again, he just caused major problems for himself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing here. That's the big dilemma.
Yeah, the instability of her as a character in his dreams really is the instability of his emotions and his mind, really, what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Which is really, really crazy. And the idea of planting an idea, and an idea grows. If you let it grow, if you let it muster, it will overtake your life and define you. That's literally what they say in the movie. And it's reality. It's reality in real life. If you let an idea get planted and you just muster on it and think about it, it will grow to define you. Sure. And if that's a negative or a positive or whatnot, that's reality.
Speaking of negatives and positives, if I had any cons with this movie or something that I could just nitpick, because I've watched the movie twice now in theaters and IMAX, and one thing that always comes to my attention is how terrible, like Stormtrooper from Star Wars level, the aim of the security and the bad guys in this movie. Like, they're this close to you and they're missing you, and they're all just like Cobb and everybody else just like, whoa.
Wait.
And they're not getting shot.
Yeah, when Cobb's running down the corridor and it's like stone and brick on all sides.
And they've got these machine guns. And you're missing.
These bullets aren't ricocheting. That's real. No, I was like, when you were saying Stormtrooper level, I was thinking you were talking about personality, like
no, bro,
like that they're all running around.
That aim, bro.
That makes sense.
like even like they're getting this close. Like, so when the guy is driving the van and they're on for example, they're on a motorcycle. I'm thinking, how are you not hitting anybody in the van right now?
Anybody in the van. That was a big thing.
That's one of those things, honestly. It's one of the very few, maybe handful of things that I had to, not only did it was a nitpick, but it was a suspension of belief. Because I'm just like, yeah, these guys are probably trained at shooting, and I could probably do a better job than that. And I'm not trained at all with shooting a gun. So
yeah. How would you fix that?
Interesting question. So if I feel like you give them different guns, or just like, when I say give them different guns, like maybe not machine guns, because it's hard to believe that you're shooting a machine gun as a trained shooter, as a trained assassin or whatever you are, and you're missing subjects, you're missing your targets like that. Yeah. And so I would say either give me a reason as to why their aim is that terrible. I mean, everything from the snowstorm level in the dreams to, you know, when they're just running in the hotel, like, these guys' aim is terrible. And so I actually feel like that might be a thing in most movies. And of course, you just can't have your main characters getting shot up. So I mean, I don't think most people notice it. I think subconsciously you're just like, wow, they're really not getting shot.
Yeah.
Aren't they lucky? Whereas I'm just like, realistically, you'd have probably been dead the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I don't know. Right now, I guess I'm not smart enough, and I'm not trying to criticize.
No.
You know, it's just like.
And in defense of Inception, I would say these guys probably aren't trained to shoot, because they're there to defend. I'm just kidding. You're okay. So actually the French song that they play for the kick through the entire movie, that French song is like song about regret and like holding on to the past, not leaving the past behind. So that's another like.
Yeah, there's just so many things in this movie where Nolan was clearly wanting to be deep, you know, like different things that are implicit of of our own realities, our own minds, our own hearts, souls, whatever. You know, that it's just like there's a connection, memory, forgetting things, remembering things. I guess I already said that. Dreams and the subconscious mind and implanted thoughts and ideas that stick with you. How, you know, those ideas that are ingrained deeply sort of, you know, control or determine your behavior for good or for bad. And a lot of that stuff rings true with me, you know, and so I find a lot of those things fascinating. I will say that this movie somewhat reminded me of The Matrix. But somehow the themes in terms of philosophies, it's not as deep as The Matrix for some reason, even though there's a whole lot more explaining in this movie, which I feel like a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies are. There's a lot of exposition, there's a lot of explaining, because there's so many things that have to be done in such a short amount of time,
right? That
even the scene transitions, if you notice a lot, and I think just about every movie does this, I'm not quite sure, but a lot of his scenes are cut. So if we have to get from here to here, you're going to cut it probably 75% of the actual journey, right? And it's just like boom, now we're here, cut, now we're here, cut, now we're here. And it's an effective way to cut down time while still being able to express or clearly show, you know, the transition, what's going on, and the progression of time and whatnot. You know.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Do I have any cons? I guess.
Do you have any cons?
Man.
Or is it just like 10 out of 10 would watch again, would recommend
again and again, and no. So I think
there is no movie sin.
The only con I would say is how complicated it is. Because that's his goal.
Is that really a con?
That's it's like figuring it out is like almost seems impossible. Like but the thing is, like, the foresight that you have to put all these little connections in and little Easter eggs and little and then the bulk of the story for it to make sense and to think about how each thing works and each level and it's the amount of foresight.
I personally don't really see that as a negative or a con. I think it's just like a book. Film is another art medium. And so with a book, there are children's books that are super simple, and then there are adult books that are much more complex. And I don't necessarily think that complicated and complex, these words, these concepts, are the same thing. And so I would actually consider the movie complex. And for those that are not as initiated in being able to interpret film, they would consider it complicated. Yeah. Someone who can interpret things and put things together, they understand that it's complex, not simple. Yeah. And so for me, that just gives more depth. It makes it much more sweeter to unravel. It makes it just much more of an enjoyable experience when there are these complex ideas that actually cause you to sort of be somewhat introspective, reflective, and you know that you're just figuring out like that there's a lot of truth to that. You know, they're spitting facts in the movie when they talk about, like, you know, how, like, for example, you could be asleep for 5 minutes, but in the dream world that's like an hour. I would say that's pretty there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
You know,
no, like so actually, like, what is it called, the REM state, something
that. Rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement.
So it's like that is actually like 2 or 3 minutes before you wake up. That's when it starts.
Interesting.
I'm correct, right, on that?
I have forgotten those facts.
I do not know. No, but it's like, okay, so but they say you dream for 2 or 3 minutes before you wake up. That's what they say. And how long do dreams sometimes feel? Literally, like, sometimes days go by in drems.
I guess so. You know, I haven't really been having that many dreams lately. So I was definitely much more of a vivid dreamer when I was younger. Which I feel like is probably, maybe so. I got more sleep. I feel like, but maybe, you know, that's most people's experience. But it's just so interesting. It's like, what can we do in our dreams, you know? And you know, I guess those are my closing thoughts. But it just kind of leaves me with like, what, you know, what are our dreams? Can, you know, our dreams tell us things about ourselves? You know, can we identify certain issues or certain solutions in dreams? I know for myself personally, I've gotten creative ideas through dreams. I mean, that's why I'm a millionaire right now. Oh, wait, that didn't happen yet. Sorry. But it's going to happen.
Precursor.
I think so. I believe.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I mean, so just knowing that, like, whenever you see people in your dreams, like, you know, if you showed up in my dream, it would seem like it was real. And so Inception is such a very good way of portraying that reality of the dream world and just making it more nominal. To just view it and say, what is all this about?
Yeah,
you know?
no, absolutely. Yeah, and dreams having impact or reality or touches of reality, like, that's absolutely real. Your subconscious and your brain, man, dreams are a portrayal of what's going on in your mind. They really are. And and I mean, even psychotherapists and you know, people studying these things have hard facts backing these things up. And
if you're going through a bad relationship or going through a tough time, a lot of times that'll reflect in your dreams. And it's like we're experiencing something. Some of the emotions you feel in your conscious life, those emotions are translated into actual scenarios in your dreams, and you walk it out. And sometimes we actually feel less stressed after we've awakened. Because it's like we've been able to deal with some things. So it's a very interesting thing. Inception is awesome. I'm looking forward to Tenet, man. Tenet is gonna be boss. Off the charts excited about it. So I'd say be looking out for
that's it. I'm excited about that one. For sure. One last, just throw something in there.
One last.
Cobb's. This is interesting. There's a theory that the entire movie was Cobb's friends helping him get back to his family. So it was basically an Inception on him.
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not. That could be pretty high. That could be pretty high. Like, if you thought about the entire movie from that perspective. I love it. There's so many perspectives. There's so many ways you can interpret it. I love it. Yep, one of my favorite movies for sure.
It's definitely one of the better movies I've seen. I don't know that
Top 100. I'm just
peg it. Top 100, one of my favorite 100 movies. I don't know that I would peg it as one of my favorite movies, but it's definitely not a bad movie. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. Would recommend for sure.
10 out of 10.
Somewhere
you
around
said somewhere somewhere around there. 8 out of 10 would recommend.
Defo.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I appreciate you guys watching.
Make sure to check out our spoiler review.
This has been our spoiler review of Inception. Make sure to check out my other videos, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Look out for other movie reviews that we'll be doing. I'll also be starting to drop reactions to trailers, to different stuff, branching out a little bit. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be fun. If you guys have suggestions for movies that you want to see us review or react to, you know, our thoughts on these movies, or any reactions that you want to see me do, drop it in the comments below. And that's it.
Help us to tie up some of these loose ends. You know, clearly we're not all that smart about this movie or all of that knowledgeable about it. And so if we've said something, messed something up, or clearly just totally overlooked something, I'd be interested to see your comments.
Yeah, definitely. Drop your thoughts of the movie. Because I mean, like, the interpretations. Drop your interpretation. Drop your thoughts. And yeah, if we mess something up, let us know. I know we did. Like, names. They're like, it's pronounced arachnid.
Arachnid, you idiot.
So, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.
Bye, guys.
Peace. Okay.